Have you ever come close to giving it up? Have there ever been points during your time here when you thought?
Not even for 1 second. Never even crossed my mind ever. Never even crossed my mind ever. I've had my best days here, my worst days here. Happy days. Good morning and welcome to Monkwood Shoot. This shoot consists of 270 acres of mixed meadow and woodland. The family's had this holding, or part of this holding, for many a long year, probably had it for 35 years. We always did bits with it. My father, in fairness to him, he dug the big pond behind you. He started one or two of the wildflower meadows off. I've now got a real opportunity to put my stamp on it. You know, I'd gone to different places. I'd seen more wildlife in different places. And I thought, well, I love wildlife. I love being out in it. Why don't I try and emulate some of what I'm seeing? We've planted 50,000 trees. We've now got 70 acres of wildflower meadows. I've dug 35 ponds of bleak scrapes. I've laid about 2 miles of hedgerows. I've set up about 50 wild bird feeders. The results are just incredible. I'm excited every time of the year, to be honest with you. You know, I'm very, very fortunate I get to do this every single day. Why would I not get excited? I'm from a sales background. You know, I used to work at a vehicle auction, and I think enthusiasm, it really does. It lets you off so many other sins. You might not be the best at X, Y, Z, but if you're enthusiastic and you're trying your hardest, fantastic. You know, every single day I will try my best. I'll try my best for wildlife, my family, but indeed I'll try my best for my friends. And I know my friends will try the best for me. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. When we first started, some of the wildflower meadow was actually in the HLS scheme. A lot of it, or half of it, couldn't actually go into that scheme because it had been fertilised too heavily and was classed as improved grassland. Yeah, quite a lot of orchids in here, look lads.
Quite a tall one.
So me and my wife Catherine, we took it on ourselves to start spreading green hay and see if we could cultivate wildflower meadows off our own back with no financial support. We just had a gentleman come round who was a botanist. Fair enough, he walked the meadows, he walked the woodland. He had a morning and a half here and he got to 108 species, and his allotted time was over. So we're looking at getting him back maybe next year to do a bit more of a extensive study over the course of a couple of days. An awful lot of people have got this rewilding idea in the head, and they think basically they can just leave a piece of land and nature will sort itself out. We humans are part of nature. You know, we can't make any bones about that. We've got to be part of the solution to the issues that we're creating. So the public just needs to realise rewilding is all well and good, but rewilding needs to be managed. You know, management is key to everything. A good rule of thumb is you kind of get out what you put in. You know, if I'm not on top of it, or if my wife's not on top of the job, I'll just go and show you this bracken here that's just starting to creep into the field. Well, if we don't do anything about it, very quickly the bracken will start shading out the desirable plants, out competes them. Nice little patch of bird's foot trefoil. You're never going to get every bit. You never ever will. But that's not the job, to get every bit. You're just trying to do your best. You're making a difference. Every piece you pull is making a difference. I think the keys to the success has just been the realisation or the understanding that wildlife needs connectivity. So many projects that I read about just focus on one specific animal, or indeed bird. Here, I'm trying to focus on everything. Probably half of the holding is ancient English woodland, but unfortunately, it was all planted up with commercial forestry. There wasn't a blade of grass under any of the trees. It was absolutely stark. When I took the holding over, there was an issue with Phytophthora, and the Forestry Commission really wanted us to take out the larch to act as a bit of a buffer zone, and again just to realise some value. So we looked at doing it and we thought, yeah, it's viable, we'll do it. So we took out all the larch trees. We then spoke to the Forestry Commission and said, while we're making a mess, because it was a mess when we first did it, while we're making a mess, can we please take out the Corsican pine as well? They gave us some restocking conditions. If it didn't naturally regenerate, we got to fulfil 1,100 stems per hectare. You can see for yourselves, it's come thick, come good. It's full of oak, holly, hornbeam. There's a few ash, although sadly dieback is just starting to get hold of them. I've got willow, alder, but there's some real nice semi-ancient oak trees amongst it, which are absolute havens for biodiversity. Once we started taking the timber out, to me it almost gave a blank canvas. I thought, well, water really is the giver of all life. So I thought, well, we'll build a pond or two. So I got a contractor in initially, and we built quite a large pond down in the bottom. I got the bill, pulled the face, paid it. Thought, right, yeah, fair play. I'm not going to be able to afford to build many of them, really. And then one of the lads said, well, why don't you buy a digger? I just laughed at him. Buy a digger? What do you mean? He said, well, why don't you buy a digger, learn how to drive it, and the world's your oyster, you can just crack on. So the very next day, having never sat in a digger, I bought a digger. Jumped on it, dug a hole, got off it, backed the Land Rover straight into the hole. Fortunately, 13 lads came and helped and pushed it out. So it was a baptism of fire, really. But from that day, really, when I first got that digger, I've never looked back on it. I've just dug and dug and dug and dug and dug. And again, the benefits are just incredible. They look harsh when you first done them. They look almost like a bomb crater. But all these little nooks and crannies, it's where your wildlife hides. It's where your animals have got places to have the young and bits and bobs. This at night is absolutely a haven for bats. The bats come out of the woods, the insects are over the water, and sometimes you'll see 50 and 60 bats working their way. Here we go, this is just a little pond that I almost constructed just in my lunch hour, without sounding daft about it. It takes 2 or 3 hours, but the range of wildlife that then becomes a vital home for is incredible. This is something that we could all be doing more of. I've probably got about 20 ponds of this sort of size. The water level rises, the water level falls. It never ever dries out. This year's been particularly dry, and you can see it's still holding water. Nice variety of flowers where I've disturbed the soil around it. And this has only been in for perhaps 18 months, and already it's producing real dividends. It's not rocket science, is it? It's rolling your sleeves up and giving it some, innit?
What motivates you to do what you do? Why do you do it?
Why do I do it? I just love seeing the difference that we're making to the countryside. I stand on a peg now shooting, and I'm just amazed at the flocks of finches that come over me before any pheasants. I'm amazed at the amount of blackbirds we've got, the amount of ducks we've got, the insects, the flowers. It is all self-motivating. If we really want more biodiversity, if we really want more ground nesting birds, and if we really want to keep the biodiversity, and if we really want to keep the ground nesting birds at the levels they are currently at, unfortunately or fortunately, we need to do something about it, and predator control has got to be part of that tool. It's got to be in the toolbox. There's no shying away from it. You can have all the habitat in the world. You can do all the supplementary feeding you want. But if you played with predators, you're going to have very, very limited results. Predator management cannot be underestimated, whether it's rats, squirrels, crows, magpies, or indeed what we shoot off this particular place, foxes. When we first started our predator management, I was taking 100 to 130 foxes off the holding. I'm now down to sort of taking 10, 15 a year off. The increase in the number of brown hares, grey partridges, curlew, lapwing just cannot be underestimated. I'm just showing you lads now what they call duck nesting tubes. And we've got these on this big pond. Basically they just give a little bit of cover for the ducks. They let the ducks just get off the ground so no ground predator can get at them. And it also, I don't know why, but seems to stop the crows getting into the duck tubes. Occupancy can be 200% and 300% because we'll actually redo some of these duck tubes 2, 3 and 4 times throughout the course of the year. So each duck tube will have successive broods in them. It's a bit of a pain doing it. You know, you need to make sure you've got some straw left over and bits and bobs. Wading through the water is particularly hard work. But again, when you see a duck sat on them and the ducklings jumping out of them, that's reward enough. Since 2016, when this project started in earnest, we've seen massive increases in biodiversity. Species numbers have just soared. We're now homes to 6 pairs of barn owls. I watch woodcocks roding, curlew in the meadows, lapwings raising their chicks, brown hares in every single corner of every single field, sometimes by the dozen. Badgers, roe deer, yellowhammer, linnet, chaffinch, bullfinch, swallows. I keep hearing swallows are struggling all over the place, and I'm sure in many areas they are. But thankfully, here they seem to have found a little bit of respite. We tend to be very lucky here at Monkwood, and indeed I think any shoot can be, if you want to be inclusive. We've got everybody. We've got butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, you know, literally. Plumbers, brickies, company directors. And to be honest with you, you're all treated the same. They all treat me the same. I treat them all the same. It's brilliant. We've got young kids, we've got ladies, we've got older gentlemen. You know who you are. And it just works, you know, because we've all got the same interests. I keep everybody up to speed with what we're doing. You know, so understanding what is happening is key to it. You know, knowledge really is it's a wonderful thing. I'm very, very, very fortunate that in my lifetime I've had a very, very good number of mentors, and hopefully I'm now starting to get to the age and experience where I'm now becoming people's mentors. You know, we need to share the experiences. The successes we need to share, but we also need to share the failures, because you can learn so much with some of the things that haven't worked. And believe me, I've done lots and lots of things that haven't worked. I dust myself down and I start again the day after.